Good evening, everybody. Everybody here just fine. I appreciate you coming out tonight. It is a topic near and dear to my heart, leadership. Since I am, this is kind of lecturing, and I used to do this for IUPUI, and I want to thank Ron Linden right there. Right, raise your hand. Continuing credit. I did a lot of seminars through him on leadership. I appreciate the opportunity to do that, and I'd like to think those went well. At least that's what the report said. So when I do these, sometimes I have to have some cheaters. I do want to introduce my wife in the back, Winnie, if you would, First Lady of Indianapolis. There. So. I joined the Marine Corps out of Indiana University in 1978. Kind of a strange thing to do at that point in time, really, when you think back to those times. And I can remember exactly the moment I learned about leadership. The light bulb moment. Absolutely, no question about it. Officer Candidate School, where I went to in Quantico, Virginia, is essentially a screening process. They don't care if you make it or not. 200 of us went down there, 110 made it. They don't care. You make it or you don't. What they do at Officer Candidate School is give you a job, what we call a billet. You were a fire team leader, a squad leader, platoon leader, some job where you have responsibility for people. And like I say, it's a screening process, but it's a screening process for leadership. Now I was lucky, the first couple of weeks, I had no job. I was the private. I followed. I was good. Because I didn't know what I was getting into. I did not come from a military family. But the third week, they made me a squad leader. And I had 13 people reporting to me. And the very first day I was a squad leader, we had a class at 8 o'clock in the morning, followed soon thereafter by a hike. It's a 1-hour class. We get back about 9 a.m. You get about 2 minutes to get your pack ready to go and get online. And I was determined to be the first one out there, if not certainly one of the first ones out there in our about 45-man platoon at that time. And I was about the third person out there. And I'm standing where the squad leader stands, just like that. A sergeant instructor comes up to me, we call him Barney Fife. He's about this big and about that wide. He's looking up at me, and he looks at, get that snide look on his face, and goes, "Where's your squad?" I didn't have one. I was out there, but no one else was out there with me. And at that moment, the light bulb went on for me. I did learn some things that I used, yes, and I learned quickly. I was no longer being judged on what I did. I was being judged on what these people did. That's when the light bulb went on. Uh-oh, it's not about me anymore. It's about them. I better make sure that they're doing the right thing, because now I'm being judged on that. Big moment in my life, actually. Big moment. But why do you want to learn about leadership? Really, the reason is, generally speaking, in companies and organizations, people do not leave the company or the organization. They leave the boss. That's who they leave. They don't like the command structure. They're not happy going into work every day, and it's usually related to the boss. The boss directly affects job satisfaction of employees. No question about that. So how do you define leadership? I define leadership very simply. Marines have a little bit longer definition than I do. But leadership, as I define it, is the ability to successfully influence a group of people to achieve a desired outcome. Very simple definition. Successfully influence people to achieve a desired outcome. Everything that you learn about it. I've been to corporate training sessions and talk about leadership, and they talk about communication, they talk about presence, and they talk about speaking ability, and they talk about this. And I guess it's just the brain in me, but inside I'm thinking, you don't get it. You use all those things to influence people. That's what you do. you must know what your desired outcome is. Is it to win a ball game? Is it to have a successful season? Is it to get all the product out on time? Is it to make money for the company? Is it to throw a Christmas party? What is the desired outcome? That's very important that you define that very well. So those are the two main points. But there are two overarching responsibilities that come with leadership. One is to achieve the desired outcome, and the second one is to take care of your people. Look out for the welfare of your people. We need the second one because one is the norm in our society to look out for the welfare of your people. And also, if you don't look out for the welfare of your people, you're not going to get the first one done on a recurring basis. You're not going to get the outcome taken care of. Those are the two overarching responsibilities of leadership. Achieve the desired outcome and take care of your people. All the traits and principles that I use is only to influence people. One of the things that IUPUI asked me to talk about was my style of leadership. It's kind of a hybrid style. Some people are very autocratic. Some people are very laissez-faire. And when I teach the class, I actually have a slide up. It depends on who you have. Really. You have to be who you are. You've got to be who you are. You cannot change that. But how you approach it can be. If I have a new group of people working at a, shall we say, a lower level job, and they're new, being laissez-faire isn't going to do me a lot of good, is it? You have to be more autocratic at that point in time. Because you got to be hands-on. You got to teach them. You got to be who you are, but you got to teach them this, and this. If I have 25 architects with advanced degrees, and I start doing that to them, how are they going to react? They're going to tell me to get out of there, right? They're not going to react well. Because they don't want that. They're professionals. They know how to get the job done, and I'm just in the way. And sometimes people see the bosses in the way. So be who you are, but modify your style. When I'm working in a warehouse, I do these things. When I'm up on the 25th floor, I have a whole different set of people up there. And I think they've got me figured out. Is that right, Paul? They have me figured out by now? I don't know. Maybe they do. But I have a very good group of professional people who have the interest of the city at heart. And I am far from a micromanager. Far from a micromanager. I can do that. I can do that within my personality. But I'm not like that right now. Because I don't have to be. And if I was like that, I would lose them. I think I would. A lot of them are here, so I have to be careful what I say. But if I get close to that, if you get close to that with very professional, dedicated people who want the opportunity to succeed, then the boss can be in the way. We don't want that to happen. And most people actually have a style somewhere in between, what they call participative or consultative and all those terms. And those do apply, but you have to remember who you have. When I was in the reception area back there, I talked about situational awareness. That's one of those situations you have to be aware of. Who do you have? So the style, I always say be yourself, but must adapt to the people that are around. I do always have 3 indicators of effective leadership. And to me, these have proven true over time. When you look at your organization, are they proficient? Do they know what they're doing? Second one is organizational discipline. That is, if the leader is gone, can they still go on? Do they know what the task is? Does the leader have to be there all the time? And the third one is morale. Do people like coming into work every day? Now, you can't use any of those separately, in my opinion. They must work together. You can have proficiency in organizational discipline, and low morale. That's because they're operating out of fear. You can have those things, but if you don't have morale, then you're operating out of fear. And my experience is, with the fear in most organizations, 2 to 3 months, then it's over. That's about my time frame in my experience. You know, I've seen leaders use fear or negative reinforcement as the motivator. Conversely, you can have high morale without proficiency in organizational discipline. In other words, everybody loves coming into work because who cares? Right? Who cares? But my experience has been that, and we'll get to reality number 1 shortly, people don't like that situation. Nobody wants to come into work and just, you know, lollygag around with nowhere to go, no direction. That doesn't work. None of you want to do that, I'm sure. You can have high morale, but it's not going to last for a while. All of a sudden, again, a little bit of time, and you'll see people will start to fall apart because of lack of direction. So those 3 indicators, I think, always work together: proficiency, organizational discipline, and high morale. Now, I said in the reception area that everybody has traits and principles, and I did go in the IUPUI bookstore and look up the leadership books and everything else because I want to see what they were saying versus what the Marine Corps taught me. And I wanted to meld, put all my experiences in here. And I do have traits and principles that I think generally apply to the level that I was trying to get to in my book. But I also have realities. And frankly, I've never seen realities as a part of the leadership or management book. And this is the part where you must understand, 1, where you are, and 2, what you're trying to get across. And these are ways of thinking. These are paradigms. And the overriding reality for small unit leadership, and frankly, I think it applies to all levels of leadership, is everybody wants to be on a good team. Everybody wants to be on a good team. Nobody came to this university saying, I hope this university is terrible. Nobody walks into a job and says, I hope this company loses money. No kid joins a sports team and says, Coach, I want to lose. I mean, those things just don't happen, right? Now, when you get to that point, that's another story. But everybody wants to be on a good team. As a second lieutenant, you really don't know a lot. And so I had an enlightening experience, but it didn't stick. And I'll tell you why later. But when I was that second lieutenant, I really didn't know much about anything. I'm in Camp Pendleton, California, and I'm in charge of my first platoon. And back in the late 70s, you had different types of individuals, frankly, than you do now in the military. And I had a Marine corporal there, and he had about a year to go when I got there. A year to go out of his 4-year enlistment. And every day he complained about the Marine Corps. Every day. And it gets a little tiring. I mean, you've been around negative people, it just kind of wears on you, it takes your energy down. This is this guy for a year. About 2 weeks before his time is up, and he's going back to Iowa, going back home. This was the time before tattoos were popular. 2 weeks before he goes home, he puts on his left forearm a huge tattoo of the Marine Corps Eagle, Bull, and Anchor. And I said, Corporal, you've been complaining about the Marine Corps for a year. What are you doing? He says, sir, I want everybody to know I was in the Marine Corps. I wanted everybody to know. Now, if I was a smart officer at that point in time, I would have sunk in, but it didn't. It took 15 years later. I'm the commanding officer of a recruiting station in St. Louis. I've got the southern 2/3 of Illinois. I've got the eastern third of Missouri. I've got recruiters all over the place. And I had a good station. We did well. About halfway through my tour, my boss, who's in Kansas City, called me up and says, Greg, I want you to take in this staff sergeant. Now, a staff sergeant in the recruiting field usually will have 4 or 5 recruiters reporting to him. guy had a little bit of a shady past to him. I had a clean, ethical command, but he's the colonel. He says, Greg, I want you to take him. So I take him. I put him in charge of a substation with 4 Marines reporting to him. The first week, this guy commits an ethics violation. Now, you may or may not know that it's expensive to move families around. You're paying for it. You move a family here, you move the entire family from one place to another. It's expensive. So I've got that on my mind. I'm thinking, do I move this guy out? Do I go to court martial? Do I run non-judicial punishment, what we call office hours, which is a lower level of punishment, below court martial, which the commanding officer can do all by himself? Do I give him a letter of reprimand? What do I do? Because there's money involved, there's the reputation of the station involved, the reputation of the Marine Corps involved. So I called a lot of people around. I always get opinions. When I make big personnel decisions, I usually get a lot of opinions. And one of the opinions I sought was a guy who was Gunnery Sergeant Mayfield, now Chief Warrant Officer, a great guy. The kind of guy that you would want next to you in any situation, no matter what it was. And at that time, he was my senior recruiter trainer, what we call the recruiter instructor. And we're sitting in my office. I can remember this like it was yesterday. I'm sitting in my office. He's in front of my desk on the left side. And I said, Gunny, what do you think I should do? And he looked me dead in the eye. And he says, sir, I don't want to belong to a unit that has a guy like him in it. I don't want to belong to a unit with a guy like him in it. Boy, a million thoughts went through my brain at that time. But the main thought was, if I don't take care of this knucklehead, I've got 10, 11 other people equivalent of his job that are not going to want to be part of the substation. They're not going to want to be part of it. And they'll stay there, but they're not going to do their best effort. Because they know then that this is not a clean, ethical, hard-working command anymore. Because the commanding officer let this go. I've got all these other people to worry about if I don't take care of this guy here. And that was my second light bulb moment. And I'm telling you, it's always stuck with me. Everybody wants to be on a good team. No matter what, everybody wants to be on a good team. No matter who you're leading, if it's 3 people, if it's 500,000, they're looking to the boss to make it a good team. Period. That's the paradigm I operate under. Everybody wants to be a part of it. That didn't turn off the button, did it? So please, when you operate, no matter what organization, academically, in business, nonprofit, whatever, everybody wants to be on a good team. If you have 10 people who are going in the right direction and you have 10 people who are going in the wrong direction, those 10 good people are looking to you to take care of the people going in the wrong direction. They may not say it to you, but they're looking at you. They're looking at you to make sure you take care of those people that should need to be taken care of. And if you don't, more than likely, they're going to move on to another team. So if the good people move on to the other team, who do you have left? Ooh, that's not good. And in a low unemployment economy, I realize we're going through a little bit of tough times right now, but in a low unemployment economy, that has tremendous consequences for businesses. Tremendous consequences. If you lose your good people in a low unemployment economy, they're going to go to other businesses, and you're going to be in big trouble. Forget, everybody wants to be on a good team. The second one that I always do is people do what they know. I always ask, and this took me a long time to figure out. Have you ever heard, I can't believe she doesn't know that? Do I have to tell her that? What is he thinking? Trust me, they don't know. You think they know, but they don't know. Now, if it's 15 to 20 obvious things, then you got a problem. But if it's 1 or 2 things that are driving you nuts, and you were thinking to yourself, I shouldn't have to tell him that. Yes, you do. Yes, you do have to tell them. Because they don't know. People only do what they know. You can apply that to so many things. I've applied that theory to what I call a multi-generational cycle of parents not knowing how to help educate their kids. They're only doing what they know. People will only do what, to affect change in your organization, you must change what people know. When I went to work at Bayer, I found $1 million savings in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. It was so obvious to me that I went to my predecessor and I said, I remember his name, Andy. I said, Andy, come on, this. Why didn't you guys do this before? Didn't get around to it. $8 million transportation budget. I find $1 million savings in 3 weeks, and they couldn't get around to it. They didn't look at it. It was just completely low-hanging fruit. The people on the lines were doing exactly what they were told to do. They were doing what they knew how to do. I came in and changed what they did. That's what I did. 3 weeks. I couldn't believe it. Because I'm a Marine coming out to the business world. I'm thinking the business world is tight. And everybody's doing analysis and all that. That was the furthest thing from the truth. So all you business students, remember that. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit out there. But that's really, to affect change in an organization, you must understand that people do what they know. If you're going to make it better, you have to change what they know. The third one I'll talk about is, as a jarhead, this was very difficult to learn. Defined standards are easier for the leader and the led. I used to think, really, that it would be harder to come in with defined standards. Oh, there's so much pressure. Can we get there? Can we do this? But actually, it's not a lot of, it's much less pressure. People know what the standards are. They know then where they have to go. Do we need to get 98% of it done? Do we need to get 75% of it done? Defined standards are easier. So many people are afraid to go there. But you're actually reducing tension in the workplace if you have defined standards, because then everybody knows. If the standard's too high, you can always change it. If it's too low, you can change it. Again, back when I was a Bear, stunningly, nobody ever checked the on-time standards for the carriers. Nobody ever did it. And I'm not just talking where I was, I'm talking across the nation. We were the first ones to do it. It was revolutionary. But the standard for most of their own standards are in the 97 to 98% range for these on-time deliveries, next day or second day deliveries. That's what the companies, the couriers, tend to measure themselves by. But we, as a customer, never measured anything. So we didn't know. I said, and honestly, I just made the number up. I looked at what everybody was trying to do. I said, let's make it 97%. And then we started measuring. We found one company that was doing 75%. A name you would recognize. So a quarter of our customers, big line haul, a quarter of our customers were not getting their product on time, and we didn't know. Didn't know. And we knew it as soon as we started, and we moved on to another company because it wasn't getting done. Defined standards are easier for everybody. It was easier even for the company that wasn't doing it well, because then they knew what they had to do to get there. Defined standards are easier. The last trait, the last reality I'll leave you with before I go on to the trading principle, is that in the absence of affirmative leadership, somebody else is going to fill that void. If your presence is not being felt, whether you're physically there or not, something else is going to get there. It can be a negative presence, it can be a positive presence. If you're lucky enough to have a number 2 person who keeps it going, great. But its negative influences are very seductive. I don't think most workers will follow them, but the negative influence is easy to fill a void. Your presence, your standards, your standard of behavior, your standards of performance, how people see you, your organizational discipline required must always be present, or somebody else is going to fill it for you. And you may not like who's going to fill it for you. People will not follow the negative influence too far. They really want to be led by people, by men and women of competence and integrity. That's who we want to be led by. But they will follow down the line. If nothing else, it's going to take some time to get it back to normal once that negative influence gets in there. But your presence must be felt, whether you're in there or not. I'll talk about a couple more things. 7:45, right? Dean? 7:45, good? All right. I'll be a little late, but that's okay. I always ask people, you know, when you ask managers what employees want, it's kind of funny because if you ask most managers that question, they'll tell you the one thing, and even the surveys say the same thing. They're going to say the employees want more money. Right? That's what the employees want. But every survey in the last 50 years has said something else. Employees want a pat on the back. That's what they want. But so what do employees want out of their boss? That's a real good question. Without exception, everything I've ever read was integrity. Every time. That's what people want out of their boss. Integrity. Honesty. The truth. All those subcategories that go along with that. Also things I define as truthfulness, honesty, justice, unselfishness, and moral courage. Those are things you need to get across with your presence. I promoted somebody one day to a supervisor position. Good man. The first day he's on the job, he moves into his office, he takes somebody else's chair as a can, and then puts a refrigerator in his office. That didn't look unselfish, did it? That doesn't look unselfish. People want integrity out of their bosses. They want you to be straight with them. Sometimes that's tough, but frankly, the sooner you're truthful with them, the better it is in the long haul. And that's hard. I know it's hard. I struggled with this so much when I was younger. I really did. And it's something I probably struggle with a little bit today. I think all of us probably do. But your employees, people looking up to you, want you to be truthful, have integrity all the time. That is the quality they most want out of a boss. Don't forget that. That's what they're looking for. I'll do a couple more. I'm going to do one principle. I had to learn this a long time ago. Inspect what you expect. That's tough to say phonetically correct, by the way. I learned a long time ago that when you tell somebody to do something, that means nothing. That means nothing. Even in the workforce, that means nothing. Just because you tell somebody to do something does not mean it's going to get done. There has to be some importance attached to it. And that importance is what the boss inspects. You can give somebody 10 things, which is probably too many things to give somebody. But if you give somebody 10 things, and you check on 3 of them, guess what's going to get done? Those 3 things, right? Inspecting what you expect communicates importance. And I'm here to tell you, it's also it's a comforting feeling to people that this is what the boss is. It communicates to him what's important. If you give him those 10 things, he's going, oh my God, I can't get all this done. But if a day later and you ask him about this, this, and this, you've now calmed his nerves because he knows what's important at that point in time. If there's one thing I could ask you to do as a leader, that would be to inspect what you expect, because it is so powerful. If there's one action that is most important, I would suggest to you that that's what it is. So I have 10 realities, 10 traits, 10 principles, but any author has more to say. That's why when you look in my book, you'll see other thoughts. And I'm just going to do a couple of those real quickly that I think are pretty important. As you move up the chain, you want to improve, but do not fundamentally change who you are. So many people, especially at the lower levels of leadership, get trapped in this. Had a young man who was just a worker bee, and he wanted to be a team leader. His name was Dave. Good guy, good guy. Now his former team leader was what I would call a domineering blowhard. He was not a good person to be around. He lacked integrity, he was loud, he was obnoxious, but he was the team leader. That gentleman eventually left, and Dave wanted to be the new team leader. And Dave was a good guy. Dave gets promoted to be the team leader. The first day Dave comes in as a team leader, Dave is a domineering blowhard. That was his example. When you get promoted, when you take charge, somebody put you there for a reason. And they put you there because of who you are, your potential for improvement. They did not put you there to be a domineering blowhard. That's one thing you really need to remember. You're there because they wanted you there, not somebody else. So Dave got demoted about 3 months later. That's a good ending though. 6 months later, he got re-promoted and stuck because we told him to be who you are. The last one I'll leave you with is when good employees go bad. You will have good employees at times who go do the wrong things. I equate this to Maslow's ladder. In my book, it's very specific actually. Somebody's doing a good job and all of a sudden, what happened? I'm here to tell you, yelling and screaming at him is not going to get the job done. Something has happened. More than likely, something has happened. And more than likely, it's not work related. Something else has happened, and they're bringing a bad attitude into work. When you look at Maslow's ladder and you see those 5 steps, the fourth one being esteem needs, and the second one being safety needs, and the third one goes safety, social, esteem needs. If somebody's working at the esteem needs level and they're doing a good job and they're feeling good about themselves and they like their title and all of a sudden they come in and what happened? They probably moved down to the safety needs level. Maybe the wife lost the job, maybe the mother's sick, something's happened. And if they trust you, if the employee trusts you, they'll talk to you. But when a good employee goes bad, you really need to look at something outside of the workplace most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time I think it's outside the workplace. So I'll leave it there. I think the book is a good read. It's about 2 hours at the most for a slow reader. Again, my target audience is there for a reason. They would not read a 300-page management theory book, the people I was trying to target. So that's why I did what I did. But those are kind of key points. Those are things that I learned along the way. The reality of certain things, certainly I learned along the way. And, those just come straight from my experience. And I hope you take those to heart. And now I guess I'll take any questions you have, Nate. Thank you. Okay. All right, Aaron.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Let's give Greg Ballard another hand. Thank you. Well, here's the fun part, the Q&A. If you haven't had a chance of walking around with cards and pens, so write a question. No question is too hard for our man. That's right, that's fine. Once again, thank you. We're going to jump right into it. Question number one. How can you effectively lead people who aren't dependent?
Wow. I'll tell you exactly how I feel about that. I mean this sincerely. Go back to the first reality. Everybody wants to be on a good team. Why are they not dependent? I'm here to tell you, most people, I say this story all the time. I was in some sort of session, I can't remember what it was. I think she worked for the phone company. And she had 2 employees reporting to her. Everything was hunky-dory. Sing kumbaya every day, you know, lovey-dovey. And then, she got 12 different people. She got promoted and got 12 different people. She swore to me, up and down, those 12 people get up every day and think of ways just to make my life miserable. And I kind of question her on that a little bit. But she really thought that. I mean, it was really kind of in her brain. Most people want to do a good job. If most people are going the wrong way, it is not the people, it's the boss. You got to get them. If you've got 10 people and 8 of them are going the wrong way, don't look at the 8 people. Go to a mirror and look, because that's where the problem is. Honestly. Now, if you got 2 people out of 10 going the wrong way, it's the 2 people. All right? But if you got 8 out of 10 going the wrong way, it's the boss. So, what I'm suggesting to you, if it is the 2 people that aren't dependable, then just really go through the steps. I mean, sit down. I always talk to people. I have a saying, praise in public, reprimand in private. That's in the book too. You need to talk to them one-on-one. What's the story? On and on and on. Approach it from the standard of performance. Don't talk about personalities. You can tell somebody that they are not performing well. You can tell somebody, don't yell. You can say those sorts of things. You cannot talk about somebody's personality. Hey, you're an idiot, right? Because they're not going to hear that you're an idiot part. They're not going to hear that. But you can say, stop yelling at John. You can say, I want you here on time. You must discuss the performance. Now, in many states, that's actually more law than it is here in Indiana. But in most corporations, that's it too. You must focus on the behavior. And really, that's the best way to get it, because they're not going to hear the other part. They don't want to hear that their personality is deficient. Okay? Because they think your personality is deficient. So you must discuss the behavior and approach it that way. And if it ever gets to the point where you go on and on, but that will usually cure 90% of it. But if they're still not getting it, then there's the road to termination. If you have to go to that point, which, you know, I say in the book very clearly. I got just a page if you have hiring and firing authority about how when you have to start writing and that sort of thing for documenting. But I hope that answers the question. Okay.
Whoever submitted it, we hope that answers. The questions that have been submitted, there's a mix of ones related to the book. There's some humorous ones, or ones that people are very interested in. So we'll go to the next question. That was my pre-warning. Any students, go here. Young people and older, some of us have heavy foot, some of us don't. We're in a rush always to make it to class on time, especially I-Core and other classes. So the question is there any discussion of lowering the speed limit at IUPUI on Michigan Street and New York Street to 25 miles per hour, like it is downtown, and on the immediate east side? They submitted. I asked.
No, I mean, that's the first time I've ever been asked that, actually. So there's no discussion on that at all. If you bring it up at mayor's night out, or, I guess we'll take it back, Paul, I guess, so we'll look at it. I've had people ask me about Michigan and New York Street. Can we make those 2 ways instead of 1 way? No way. But no, the speed limits have been there a while. So, are you talking about students going to get run over?
Well, I don't know what they do.
Probably. The people like Michigan pretty quick.
They do.
Good speed bump there and there, not a bad thing.
All right. Well, the mayor's mentioned definitely the community.
Low level, so we don't,
There you go. So those of you who live within Marion County, Mayor's Night Out, Andy Harris is here. Raise your hand, Andy. He'll be the person to see to find out when it's going on in your neighborhood. Another question. What is the most exciting and interesting part of being a mayor, and what are some of the perks and benefits of it?
Well, the exciting part about being mayor is actually you got to go back to why I ran. I really felt we were doing some things wrong in the city, and I was very candid that if I thought things were going well, I wouldn't ever be running. I mean, everybody knows I'm a terrible politician and probably not a great campaigner by any stretch of the imagination, but I did get the job done because I did a lot of walking and talking and listening. So really the best thing about being the mayor is being able to effect change, to do the things that we wanted to do. You saw a very big emphasis on public safety earlier on because I listened well. A lot of the offices that we created two new offices, ex-offender reentry and abandoned homes, and there's a reason you guys have listened well, and those things are needed. So being able to do that and to affect lots of people. I don't know how many of you have been up in the mayor's office or upstairs. I mean, you might come up there. I mean, it used to be like a sanctum or something. I don't know. I had cameramen tell me that they've been a cameraman for 20 years and never been in the mayor's office. I said, well, I don't know why not. I don't own it. Just come on in. And so we do an interview in there. But I look out every day. I have a good view of the city. And when people come up there, I say, this is who I work for. I look out there and I say, this is who I work for. And that's really the good thing. Because I'm reminded every day of who I work for, and that's just how I approach the job. The perks, I didn't know all these things when I ran. I just was trying to, like I said, I was just trying to do the right thing. But I will tell you the best perk so far, not that it's doing me a lot of good right now, right, Chad? Not doing me any good at all. I had no idea. I get a pace car.
I'm the new driver?
And my security team would tell me, no, Mayor, we get a pace car. I've driven other than the pace car, I've driven 30 seconds in 3 months. And when I drove it home, I couldn't figure it out. Really, it's kind of high tech. And all I did was drive to the garage back from the speedway, and it's in the garage. It's been in there in 3 or 4 days. So I don't know when we're going to get out and drive it. But I will tell you that I had a couple of pulled muscles when I got out of it because it's pretty low. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Now there are some people want me to go do certain things. There's a lot of stuff during May that they want me to go do, and those are pretty much fun things. I think they will be mayor's breakfast for all the mayors around the state and those sorts of things. But there are a lot of perks for the city mayors. For governors and further up, I think they have a lot of stuff, but there's not much budget for a lot of perks. So, but the vet's a nice thing. And if I drive it, of course I have to drive it, not tell my security details. So that's the whole trick.
You get fleeces also.
Get what?
Fleeces.
Fleeces.
Fleeces from
I get fleeces. Yeah. I do get fleeces. I do get some articles of clothing here and there. I won't have to buy fleeces for a while or T-shirts. I know this is another university, I understand, but this is representative of what happens. And people are really being nice. Trust me, they're being very, very nice. But University of Indianapolis sent me a shirt. And And on a Sunday newspaper, or Saturday, I can't remember, there's a picture of me with Mark Miles and Jack Swarbrick discussing the Super Bowl bid before we submitted it. And so somebody from the University of Indianapolis wrote me a note and says, "Thank you so much. It was great publicity for the university. Here's a jacket." They gave me a jacket. Okay, so those sorts of things happen. But with the new ethics package coming out, I think I'll have to disclose all of that. But trust me, it's all medical. It's shirts and flowers and stuff like that. So.
Nice Corvette.
Except for that.
Here's a question that I looked at, showed some staffers, and looked at again. So, who do you support? Obama or Hillary? Quote, "You cannot say McCain," smiley face.
Well, that's a tough situation to be in, and I will decline that question.
Fair enough.
But I will tell you this. This is what I see. When I see Obama, I think the younger generation is seeing JFK. I really do. I think they're seeing that equivalent, and I think that has real power. And I don't know how all that's going to turn out. I mean, I don't watch a lot of national news anymore. I'm kind of busy. I really don't see the local news. People say they see me on TV all the time. I never see me on TV because I'm on at 5 or 6 o'clock and 11, but I don't get home by 5 or 6, and I'm asleep by 11. Trust me, I'm asleep by 5 because I wake up at 4 or 5. But I think they see Obama like that, and I'm sure you know how I lean on that.
Of course.
Because, again, the guy that just told me, because I am a veteran. I've seen McCain speak personally, and I know sometimes he does it on TV. He comes across a little different, but if you saw him in person, you would be very much impressed. Very much impressed. And I'm here to tell you, he never talks about his captivity, but it still has an effect on what he does. I'm here to tell you, because you can see how he holds his arms and everything else. I don't know if he has a brace in there or a strap. I don't know what he's got going on back there, but I'm here to tell you, he went through some rough times.
Shannon, tell me your thoughts on the future of a city-sponsored recycling program.
Well, first of all, the city does have a recycling program. It is out there. It's not very robust, and we'll just be, because I'm as honest as I can be, it'll probably be a year or two before we can take a real serious look at that, because there's some big ticket items that we wanted to take care of, and we're going to take care of those first couple of years, and then we'll probably look at that.
Your favorite drink is Mountain Dew. Why?
Now, is that what that says?
Yes.
I don't know. I see more. See, I'm not alone. I don't know why that is, to be honest with you. I think I drink a lot of Pepsi when I'm younger. I don't know. I don't. It ebbs and flows, and sometimes, but I don't know. I was out with Dave and Joe. Everybody listened to Dave and Joe yesterday. Dave Wilson show. We were out. And they didn't have any. It's WIPC. They didn't have any Mountain Dew. So they gave me the the cut rate stuff from, I don't know where they said it. It was called Mountain Extreme. And it was a Mountain Dew knockoff. That's the best they could do. They said the budget cuts at WIPC.
Individual would like to know, how do you keep political pressures from your party or opposing parties from influencing your decision-making process?
Well, that's kind of an easy question. I've always told people this, that we don't work for a political party or an organization, and we're not beholden to anybody. I mean, it's no secret, really, how I got in there. And I'm not, I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying that none of those pressures are really on me, honestly. And frankly, out of all the people that was up there on the 25th floor, I have not asked anybody what their political affiliation is. Now, I'm assuming most of them are Republican. No question about that. But there's also, we have a former Democratic city county councilor up there also. And frankly, I have people up there who I don't have a clue, and I just don't care. I hire them to do a certain job. They're going to do their job because I think they're good at it, and that's what I need done. That's what I need done. That's what the city needs done. So you know, I probably have a little bit. I think most people, those will affect the hardcore Republicans here, but I think most people in the city kind of see me as an independent. I certainly think Republican, no question about that, but because that's how I mainly vote, I mean, clearly. But at the same time, I don't really care. I'm just looking for talent to help the city, and that's it. That's the main concern of mine. And this is really the way I look at it. I've only got 4 years in this job. If you go further, great. If you feel like you need more time to get the things that we need to get done, then we'll do it. But I got to go to sleep at night. And if I don't do the right thing, I can't sleep. So and I've told you how I think about the city. I'm only trying to do the right thing for the citizens of Indianapolis. That's it. And I make my decisions based on that. And if I make my decisions not based on that, if the decisions are not based on that, frankly, I won't go to sleep at night. And I like to sleep. So, I mean, that's just the way I'm built. So, and I tend to get along with everybody pretty well anyway. So, hope that answers it.
In being in the military and transition, you talk about micromanaging. What is probably one of the most detrimental things that can happen to an individual who micromanages, or what kind of negative effect can it have on a team who's trying to accomplish a goal with someone's micromanaging?
Well, before I answer that directly, I read in the paper a lot, and this is so funny to me. People say, well, he's not in the military anymore. He's got to understand that. It's not like we're all automatons. I'm here to tell you that we train people in the Marine Corps, and I know the Army does exactly the same way. Right now, today, there's going to be a 20-year-old corporal in Afghanistan or Iraq who's going to make a decision. And if it's the wrong decision, it's going to be on the national news. And if it's the right decision, you're not going to know about it. That's the sort of responsibility we lay on young men and women. We train them to think like that. We don't wait for them to, if they have to wait for a decision from the general, we're in big trouble. We train leadership at their lowest levels to understand the situation. These are the parameters, make a decision, and sometimes they're made just like that. That's how we do it. So when I hear all this automaton, it's the military, blah, blah, blah. That's completely wrong. That's completely wrong. So we learn not to micromanage. What you will find, especially if you have competent people, if you micromanage, you will lose them. They will go on. Because most people want to use their brain power to the fullest extent possible. They want to do the best things that they can. If you get in that way, then they're going to try to find something else to do, I think. I think most people. Now, I'm talking about the talented level of the class. Those are the people that I think you're talking about here. You do not give the people the leeway to find their way. You give them your overall goals, and then you leave it to them. We have a couple brainstorming teams that we've already put together, and I'm so careful talking to them because I'm afraid I will narrow them up. And I keep trying to say, no, I'm not trying to tell you what to do here. I say that all the time to them. But this is kind of where we need to go. And so that's really, because if you don't do that, I think the best people, which is who you want, the best people will not conform.
Mayor Ballard, I live on the east side of Indy. What can be done by the city to improve the economic picture for this part of town?
Everywhere I go in the city, people say, I'm from Indianapolis, except on the east side, they say, I'm an east sider. I don't get that. That's funny, but that's the way they are over there. It's a great group of people. What we're doing, there are certain things we're trying to do right now. We have, I'll give you a tax abatement policy, all right? Some people think those are all evil. Trust me, they're not all evil because they help bring businesses in. We put up an objective matrix. rate people, we rate companies coming into town. It used to just be, oh, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? You should do this. We objectified it. We've got a matrix of about, I'd say probably 12 to 14 items, and we give them the grade, and then we give them a weight also. And it's heavily weighted toward jobs. It is. But one of those categories in there is a targeted neighborhood. And we have, and so we weight targeted neighborhood into the equation. And we know which areas these companies are looking at, and if it's on a targeted neighborhood, and the east side's kind of going up and down, really. I mean, people think it's declining, but it's really going up and down. But we're trying to bring stable businesses out there. We've actually made a couple of calls like that already because they want to move to the east side. So that's what we're doing, I guess. And by the way, the east siders, they're a strong bunch. They're really trying to do the right things. They really are.
How do you handle a situation where you made a mistake, one of your employees called you out about it in front of other employees?
Chicken choke.
Chicken choke.
That's a Marine term. No, if actually that hasn't really happened. Can't remember that ever happening, honestly. But what I would do, we've had sensitive discussions that probably should not have been in a public forum, and I would politely say, let's take that offline after the meeting. That's what I do. I've done that before. I've said those words before. Let's take that offline. So, and, you know, most of the time, life is not what you do; it's how you react to what's being done. So, the trick is not to overreact.
What is the Indianapolis Writers Group? Ever heard of it?
I'm sorry.
Indianapolis Writers Group.
What do they want?
Who are they?
Okay, well, they were nobody until 2 years ago. No, I started a writers group, and really it was people who are in writers groups. There tends to be a focus. Some are fiction based, sometimes are mystery based, or whatever. And I just wanted to be in a group that talked about the craft and technical aspects of it, plus the artistic side of it. And so I started one. I started the Indianapolis Writers Group. And it meets the fourth Saturday of every month at 10 a.m. at the Indiana Authors Bookstore, 36 East Maryland. If anybody's interested. I no longer admin the group. I started the group about 2 years ago. We would bring in guests to talk to us about the craft and about writing, and then one week we do that, and the next week we just talk about where we were in our writings. The next month we do that. So every other month we had a different focus, but a lot of it was about what we were doing as writers and how our books were coming along. We had quite a few published books that time. Most of them were fiction, a couple were nonfiction, but we had some success stories in there also. And I just couldn't get a sense of any writers group that kind of fit what I was trying to do. We had 10 to 12 pretty good steady attendance for a long time, which is a good sized group. And then as soon as when I won, I told them I just want to completely focus on being the mayor. And I really did. I took away all my, what I would call my formal activities outside, because I would do 3 or 4 different things all the time. But I said, no, I'm just going to stop everything. And so I did. And the funny thing is, now that group has like 20 in it. And so I don't know how that happened. I walked in on a couple of months ago, and there were like 20 people in there. I said, what, I leave? This happens? But it's a good group. It's a really good group. And like I say, they're there to help each other, mainly, and we bring it outside.
How would you compare the difficulties of your responsibility of being a mayor to that of being a Marine Corps officer? Different level, really. I guess a different paradigm. I will tell you the toughest leadership job I ever had was commanding officer of the recruiting station. Not close, actually. That was the adjective that we used on recruiting duty was brutal. It was a brutal duty. We call it 36 one-month tours. You're a hero 1 month, you make your number, and then you're at 0 the next month, and you're
life until they make it. That's kind of how I felt on Spring Tree. Very pressure filled, very difficult job. About 6 months into it, I thought the job was running me, and I wasn't running the job, which is not the way it goes. And I had to make some personal adjustments at that point in time. That was by far the most difficult leadership job I ever had. Running the city is a whole different paradigm because there are so many interests. We have a lot of talent available to get the job done. I have unbelievable staff, really unbelievable staff. So that, in that aspect, there's no, it's a self-imposed pressure. We said we wanted to do these things, and if anybody's been watching, these are the things we're going to go do, and that's what we've been doing. So we want to go in a certain direction on that, but we created that pressure on ourselves to do that. And we live up to ourselves, so it's a little bit different paradigm on that. So it depends where you are as to and the pressures that are on you. But I think all of us feel the same way, that it's completely self-imposed pressure, and we just look out every day into the city and realize who we're trying to please. And I think that's the way to do it.
This time we have a few minutes before we wrap up. Brian Black, is there anyone from the audience that has a question that has not been answered? Don't be shy. We have one right up in the front at exercise.
Thank you so much for your time. We truly appreciate your time. My question is, thank you. My question is, as a leader, what are the best ways to create lasting change in an organization?
Lasting change? Ooh, I don't think I've ever been asked that. Let me answer a little bit. I think lasting change really comes. I tell you, the lasting change we're really trying to create in the city, and I'll put that, I use that paradigm, is we're trying to, the parts of the government that we can restructure so that people have to remain ethical and above board all the time, we're really trying to put that in there. That's what we're trying to do there. So on the political side, or the governmental side, I should say, I hate to use the word political, on the governmental side, what we're trying to do is restructure so that people have to do the right things all the time. We're really trying to get that. As far as lasting change, that's really a change of standards, to be honest with you. And the best example I can give you, when I joined the Marine Corps in 1978, there were a lot of drugs. A lot of drugs in all the services. Okay, and in the late 70s and early 80s, like 80, 81, the services said, this is over. This is over. And I remember the Commandant of the Marine Corps saying, I don't care if I've only got one battalion of Marines, I don't care if I've only got one battalion of Marines. It's going to be a clean set of Marines. That's what he said. He meant that. And we completely changed the culture in the military in about 1981. And, the drug use in the military today, I'm sure it's still there, but it used to be probably in the 15 to 30% range. It's probably in the 1 to 2% range right now. A dramatic change. The Marine Corps went through another change in how they did recruiting. What it has to have dramatic, lasting change, the senior leadership must buy into it. They must inspect all the time. They must put the policies in place, and it must filter all the way down to the lower leadership. We're trying to change, as you know, how the police department is. I am not. We changed the tactics within the police department. No question about that. They've reversed teams, and we've had some effect. But when I go out to the cops, I ask them, have we freed you up to do what you think is best? Because we took away all these other things that they were being measured on. And they were actually a lot of measurements. They were being asked this, this, and this. And I said, I don't care. Your job is to reduce and prevent violent crime. That's it. There is no other measure for the police department. That's it. And then, if you have that goal, what I call it, what the military calls mission-type goals, then you free up the person on the bottom to decide for himself, to figure out for himself how to do it. And that's really, if you can get it down to the lower level leadership, then you will have lasting change. Of course, it can't go the other way, depending on who's it. But the senior leadership must be a complete buy-in with the policies in place, and it must work its all the way down to the lower levels. Does that make sense?
Anyone else?
Appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask, you feel 4 years is enough for you to come in and do what you need to do as mayor?
I've thought about that a lot. You know, I told a couple of people here tonight that on a day-to-day basis, it seems like we're not getting anywhere, but the fact is, after 4 months, I think we've done real well. And we've got a lot done that we were trying to get done. And I know we're moving forward on the other issues that we want to move forward on. I do think 4 years is probably enough to get there, but to make the lasting change that this lady's asking about, I frankly think it will take more time. And I'm hoping, depending on how we all feel at that point in time, we'll have to make that decision. But we really want to restructure the government so that people have to do the right thing all the time. That's what we're really trying to do over the long haul. What we're going to be doing over the next year and a half, as we'll see, will be that sort of process. So, I think we can restructure as best as we can. We'll just see what the state does with the current Shepherd Commission. We may not be able to get that part of it done within 4 years, but I think what we can get done, I think we can probably get done in close to 4 years. But for it to take hold, I think we can take it more hold. Is that okay? I'm looking very good. Is my wife good?
Miss Ballard. Is that one more? All right. One more. Our last question.
That scares me.
Okay, excuse us. It's my eyes. I can't see. Do I need your glasses? Have you written a 5-paragraph order for being mayor?
SMEAC? Okay, all right. SMEAC, situation, mission, execution, administration, logistics, command and control, right? That's what you're talking about, by mission order, 5-paragraph order? No, I have not. I will tell you, however, that said, not for being the mayor, but when we, there was a guy named Arnie Peterson who was in the Army. He actually lives up in Carmel. He's a good friend of mine. And when we decided to run for mayor, when I decided to run for mayor, I went to Arnie and I said, because Arnie's kind of a strategy thinking kind of guy. I said, Arnie, let's brainstorm, let's figure it out. And we started writing SMEA, situation, mission, execution, administration, logistics, command and control. We started writing a 5-paragraph order for running the campaign. We actually did. Not as mayor, but to run it, and that became the framework, really, the starting jumping off point, really, for the campaign. Now, you may or may not know, we never had a lot of people on the campaign. You'd be stunned if you knew that there was, at the end of the day, there was me and 2 other people directly on the campaign. That's it. 2 people and me. Now I had a lot of other people contributing. I mean, there were a lot of people helping with press releases and speech prep and all those things. We had a lot of that going on, but it was full time. That was it. That was all we had, with a little help from them here and there. Good help too, good help. But without that beginning of the 5-paragraph order, you know what it does. It sets the course. That's what we did. It seemed to work out.
Well, that is it.
So that's why you didn't know that.
Well, no, it's another reason.
You know what a 5-paragraph order was.
Yeah, I'm going to let you hold on to that. That's how we can see. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you so much. I know we have some individuals that are here. anyone is part of the mayor's staff who works, would you mind raising your hand? Raise your hand. These are the people that help run the city. Our fathers, in the arts room, thank you for coming, appreciate it. At this time, I want to turn it over to Tina Samuels.
Good. Thank you once again, this is really loud, for joining us tonight. As many of you know, as Aaron said, I'm Tina Samuel, the Assistant Director for Leadership Development and Campus and Community Life. And this is the first year we've had Lead IUPUI, a leadership program through this Division of Student Life, and it's been a huge success. I can't think of a better way to end our year than by having the mayor here. So we would love to give you another perk and benefit of being the mayor. It's actually a sweatshirt blanket, so hopefully something you haven't received before from IUPUI. So yeah, thank you for coming. We appreciate that. As you can see, there are books being sold in the back if you would like to purchase one of the mayor's books. Maybe he'll stay around and sign them for you if you ask really nicely. If you're interested in more leadership opportunities through Lead IUPUI, you can always visit our website, lead.iupui.edu, or you can contact me and I can provide you with more information. So thanks for coming out tonight and have a safe drive home, and we hope to see you again.